the worst of the year, right? So, welcome, take a seat. It's going to be a hard one today. Pause. I don't know why I said that. But Shakur Stevenson, a lot of people might think that I hate Shakur. I don't, even though this is probably going to be my third video talking about him in this fight. Um, it was a bad fight. It was record breakingly bad for Shakur and for boxing in general. But the worst thing about it is that he tried to excuse himself by saying that that was real boxing, and the people that didn't like that night or what he did just didn't know boxing, right? And that's an insult to the people that watch boxing, because um and this is why I like boxing, because boxing will call your bluff and it will call your bullshit and it'll put it out to light and embarrass you. Um, a couple of days later, I think it was a week later, Devin Haney had a fight and broke the record for making his opponent miss and hitting him. So a lot of people like to repeat, um, little business quotes. I call them business quotes because they're trying to sell you things. They're like sales pitches. And in boxing, what they're trying to sell you, like in politics, they're trying to sell you for you to both vote for them or support their cause. But in boxing, what they use it for is to sell you shit fights. Um, One of these quotes is "hit and not get hit," and it doesn't mean that it's a lie. It's true, right? Boxing is hit and not get hit. But the problem with Shakur is that he wasn't doing the first part of that, which is hit. Um, and I mean, it is what it is, and he could try to make excuses all he wants. But I think this was the worst fight of the year, in my opinion. It broke records because of it. Um, but anyways, I hope Shakur bounces back, and I hope he fights more than once a year, because it's not worth it to watch this bullshit, and you're only fighting once a year. Nobody's. You're not that famous, bro. Where nobody's like waiting for your fights. Oh my God, when is Shakur Stevenson gonna fight again? I can't wait to watch him punch air and jab air for an hour or whatever. Moving on, the worst fighter of the years is this guy here, not Parker, Wilder. And the worst fighter is Wilder because he had a long time to train. He had a long time to better himself. He went and did ayahuasca. And he did all this other stuff to better himself. And I was all for it. It's like, you know what, do whatever you need to do. Every warrior has their own path. Every warrior has their own way of doing things. And who am I to judge Wilder and what he's doing? Like, a lot of people say that, oh, ayahuasca messed him up. It's like, bro, it's not ayahuasca. Ayahuasca ain't the problem. Drugs ain't the problem. We use drugs every day uh, for medication, for various different things, numbing pain. So drugs ain't the problem. Drugs are a tool. Ultimately, it's the person and the way the person goes about using these drugs, um, that's ultimately gonna result either in a good result or a bad result. Like the other day, I was talking to somebody about music, and they told me, oh, this music these days is horrible, and it's poisoning the minds of the kids. And I told her, listen, I grew up around music like that. I grew up around. There was a song, I forgot who sang it, but it was like, I smoke, I drink, I'm supposed to stop, but I can't. I love hoes and I'm addicted to money, cars, and clothes, something like that. Um, And I remember listening to that song and thinking, man, that is a clown. And it was funny and I enjoyed it for a little bit. But I was like, the guy singing that is a clown because he's talking about things that he knows is bad for him. And he's literally telling you these are bad things. I'm addicted. Addiction is bad. These are things that are bad. But to me, it was like, yeah, it's fun and it's funny, but it's funny because it's dumb. But that's not what everybody else hears or what some people hear. Some people hear that and they're like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'm supposed to say. These are the things that I'm supposed to do. But why is that? Why is that two people could do the same thing, but one of them is affected a different way than the other? Two people could stare into the void, but one person blinks and the other one doesn't. Why is that? Because one person had a better fundamental upbringing. They had a better foundation, and the other person didn't have a foundation. A lot of the kids that listen to this music, they don't have a father, they don't have a mother, and a lot of them grow up with their grandmothers. All right, and they don't really have guidance. They don't really have somebody who tells them, "You ain't supposed to do this shit. You ain't supposed to do that shit. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. And if you do that, it'll knock you upside your head." You know, something. I don't know. All right. So with that said, that is why some people are easily swayed by these things that happen, and they see things that are going to be even more negative to their lives. So it's not the drug, it's not whatever this guy did, it's him. He's the problem, and he's not able to look inside himself and realize these are the things that I'm doing wrong. You know, it has to be a breakdown of the ego, and this guy, he hasn't done that. He's blaming everything and everyone for all of his problems except for himself. And this is a disease in our communities. Um, but getting back to this guy, I mean, I'm still talking about him, but here's the thing: he had a long time to work on his footwork, to work on his jab, to work on his setups, and he didn't do it. Now, I was gonna talk about the predictions that I got wrong, which is this is the only one. Wilder versus Parker is the only one that I got incorrect out of my three predictions that I made. And I only made three because those were the only three that I was really interested in, which was Wilder versus Parker, Anthony versus Otto Walling, and Bebo versus Lyndon Arthur. And this was the only one that I got incorrect. Now, I was rushing through those predictions, but one of the ones that I had the most doubt about was this one. And the reason for that is because Wilder has always been a toss up. Right? He's always been a toss. He's always been a coin flip. And the coin flip depends on if he lands that right hand. And the other coin flip is if the other guy doesn't survive that attack. So if there was a fight that I would not bet on, it would be on this fight. Right? Why? Because it's a coin flip all the way through. You can't rely on somebody who doesn't have good footwork, who doesn't have good setups, and doesn't know how to set up things with his lead hand. So and it's like, bro, you start looking at these interviews, and they ask him, why don't you jump rope? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that and the other? Why don't you work on your skills? And you know what he says? I don't need to do none of that because I have power. And that is one of the most horrible things you could say. As someone who is serving as an example for the youth, to say something like that is the opposite of what we've been brought up to do. If you have a talent, you hone that talent. You work on that talent, right? And then you become better. That's what you're supposed to do. Not be lazy, not be slothful. Being slothful is a sin. Now I know some of you are not religious, but maybe some of you need some of this talking to. Now I'm going to talk about a parable that's in the Bible, and it's about three different people. I'm going to try to go really fast. Three different people that God, a certain amount of God given gifts, certain amount of talents. But they're more than talents because they're God gifts. Talents is like human, right? So a talent is like, okay, I know how to sing, or I know how to, um, play the guitar or something like that, or draw, you know. But a God given talent is different. It's more like a God given gift or something like that, which is what I believed Wilder has, because he didn't have to work for what he has. Let's be honest, right? He just touches somebody with that thing and they go down. You know what I mean? Um, but let's go back to the purple just really quick. Okay, there's three different guys, and God gives them talents according to their capacity, what He knows their capacity to be. And to one, He gives 5 talents, and He says, "Here's these 5 talents according to your capacity. Uh, Take them and do with them as you will." Then the second one, He goes like, "Here goes 4 talents according to your capacity. Take those 4 talents and do with them as you wish." Then the last servant, He says, "Here, take this 1 talent according to your capacity." Now, of course, a lot of you are already looking. How come he gave one, 2, whatever, right? So God leaves and He says, I'll be back one day. I'm going to go somewhere." He goes and he comes back, right? And before he comes back, the first guy who got the 5 talents, got the most talents, he invested in his talents, worked on those talents, and he made more. The second one did the same thing. He invested in those talents and he doubled his talents. And the last one, he grabbed that 1 talent and he said, "I only have one." Right? So in his mind, he was like, "I only have this is all I got. These other guys got way more than me. I just got this one. So I'm not gonna risk it. All I'm gonna do is save this talent and put it underground." And he dug a hole and he put the talent underground. And God comes back, right? God comes back and He's like, "Son, what did you guys do with my talents or whatever?" Right? And then the first guy says, "I doubled the talents. You gave me 5, now I got 10." And the second one is like, "Yeah, I did the same. I got 8 now." Right? So he gets happy with them and he goes, "Come on, let's party or whatever, or let's go to heaven." I think that's what he said. It's in Matthew, by the way. I'm not making that stuff up. But I just forgot the chapters. I'm bad with numbers. But and then the last one, he goes, "Yo, what's up with the talent that I gave you? What did you do with it?" He's like, "Man, I knew you were gonna take it back anyways. At the end, you were just gonna take it back, and I figure, why even do anything? He's gonna take it anyways." And he was like, "You slothful man. You're worthless and you're slothful." And he threw him into the pit of fire. Now, what does this mean? What is the meaning of this? There's lots of meanings to it. The meaning for about people that complain about having too little, right? Number one, and not investing the little that they have, right? And number two, it's about being slothful and not appreciating the talents that you have and not working on those talents that you do have. So some people always look at what they don't have, always look at the fact that they're gonna die anyways. Like, we're all gonna die anyways. It doesn't matter what I do, or it doesn't matter what I do. They're still going to bring me down, or they're still gonna be taken away from me, or whatever. But the other guys didn't think that. The other guy said, "I'm just gonna work on these talents." Wilder reminds me of that one guy who has that 1 talent and he decided to not do anything about it, to not add to those talents. If you have 1 talent, you got to think about it this way. You can only go up from there. If you just leave it where it is, you're not gonna be able to do nothing. And this is a good example of Wilder. He has this one gift that he could have built an empire around. And all he did is pretend that he was the king of an empire. But he really didn't do anything with it. He has all his followers following him, which I suggest you stop doing that because he's a bad example because of the things that he does. You know, someone who doesn't work on their talents is the epitome of someone that is lazy and slothful. Lazy and slothful and just, not a good guy. Of course, at the beginning, I was inspired by him because you've heard of him getting into boxing because his daughter, but then after that, all the other stuff that happened was no bueno to me. But moving on here to the letdown of the year. And the letdown of the year is none other than Boo Boo Andre. And Boo Boo Andre was one of these guys who said that, and his followers would say and push the narrative that people were afraid to fight him because he was a slick fighter and he was gonna finesse them or whatever, and that people didn't want to fight him, and that's the reason why he couldn't get the fights. And the thing about it is that a lot of us knew that wasn't true, but we went along with it because we just don't want to talk to stupid people. And you're like, all right, whatever, dude, whatever. Everybody else can get fights, but not him. And the thing is this, and this is another lesson, that I want to talk about. If these fighters claim that they can't get the fights, and they've never gotten any fights, they're lying. Somebody around them is lying, either them or their handlers or someone. And they have to take responsibility for that. This blaming other people has to stop. It has to stop. Like, it's like by their fruits you shall know them. And I'm sorry to quote the Bible again. I know some of you are maybe Muslim or whatever, but a wise man can learn from anything. Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. I've read all of them, by the way. So by their fruits you shall know them. Right now, what does that mean? That means that somebody could say things. They could say that they're the best in the world. They could say that they could beat Canelo. They could say all of these things, that they don't want to fight me or whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to look at both of the trees, look at who's fighting the fights and who is not fighting the fights. And that is what they are. If they only fight bums, if they only fight trash fights, that means that they are a trash bum tree. That is what Boo Boo was. He always was that. And all of those other excuses, all of those other talking points that you have, those sales pitches, they don't matter. And that's the reason for this quote, by their fruits you shall know them. That goes for everything, by the way. And by the fruits of Mr. Boo Boo here, he is doo-doo. Like straight up doo-doo. And the worst thing about it is that his excuse was that Benavidez was too big for him. Meanwhile, he's calling out a guy who does nothing but beat up bigger opponents, taller opponents with more range than him. So then what are you doing calling out that guy? Maybe you were calling him out too because you saw that he was a smaller opponent and you were like, oh yeah, I could take that little guy on. But when it's your time to take big guys on, you can't do it. So what does that tell you, about who you are as a person? Moving on. Worst trainer of the year is going to be Malik Scott. Why Malik Scott? Because he had a guy with a big right. If you would have gave me a guy with a big right hand like that, I'm going to do everything possible. Even if I'm not a professional trainer. I'm gonna get people. I'm gonna be like, how can we make this guy with this hand beat the world? Because we don't get guys like this that often. And if he doesn't want to work with me, because just by the look of Wilder's face in this picture, I could tell you he's an arrogant person. You know, and I'm sorry, man. That's what I think. If he doesn't let me teach him, I'm gone. Because what am I doing there? Just a yes man? What am I doing? I, I don't know what I'm doing there. If I have a specific job, then I'll be like, all right, I'm holding the pads. I'll do that. If that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, cool. But then I'm not gonna be a snake and use the limelight of Wilder to promote myself, knowing very well that I'm not doing shit in the camp. I'm not working on his feet. I'm not telling him to do squats. How long did he have him for, dude? I mean, unless Malik Scott secretly hates Wilder, I just don't get it, dude. I just don't get it. Hater of the year. This is the worst analyst of the year. That's what it is. All right, and I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, you have to be a boxer, an ex-boxer, to be a good analyst. If not, why are you talking about?" It's like, bro, no, you don't, bro. No, you don't, because most of these ex-boxers that analyze fights are trash, straight trash. They hate and they pick people because they look like them or because they're from the same place they are from. Most of these analysts, professional ex-boxers, are not. They straight up hate, bro, and I'm tired of it. And they use their status as ex-boxers to say the things and the hateful things they want to say. You know, this is where the whole narrative of why don't you support American fighters came from. That's where it came from. And it's never a problem until Mexicans support other Mexicans. Every time everybody supports anybody else, it's like, oh yeah, we're cool with that. It's like the whole thing where people be like, well, Mexican isn't a race. Mexican isn't really a race. Why do people even say that? Because nobody's saying that it's a race. We're just eating tacos and speaking Spanish sometimes and enjoying the Mexican culture, and that bothers you. So you have to say dumb shit like that has nothing to do with anything. Because I know I'm an American. I know that. I was born and raised here. But what does that have to do with anything? It's only a problem when you hate certain cultures and you hate certain people. That's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you start saying dumb shit like that. Why don't you support American boxers? Now, why am I talking about this guy here? Because he stays hating on Canelo Alvarez 24/7, and it's not just him. It's other analysts as well that do the same thing. You know, they support only people that are from their television program, be it Showtime, be it ESPN. You know, if my fighter is from Showtime, I'm gonna be always supporting this guy. That's why I don't like professional analysts no more. That's why I don't follow them no more, because they're so um, bent on supporting their fighters from their companies. You know, be it ESPN, Showtime, whatever. You know, they're so bent on that. And others, it's racist. I just mentioned that. Others, it is like a hateful thing. Nationalist, racist, whatever you want to call them. It's hate. You know, and that's why I don't look or watch any of the professionals, because they have an agenda. For whatever reason, they have an agenda. Um, so moving on here to break out fighters, meaning fighters that made a name outside of boxing for all the wrong reasons, and that is Jamal Charlo. Um, and he was in the news for domestic abuse, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. He knows what's up, but don't do what he did, guys. And now, moving on to one that's probably gonna get people mad. You know, whoever is handling Tank Davis, right? Because they don't make it clear. Listen, when something isn't clear, when there's business practices that are not clear, guess what? Guess what category I'm gonna put him in. There's something. I mean, there's something fishy going on. All right. When somebody says, "Oh, you're a promoter," it's like, I'm not a promoter. I'm a cancelliere. You know, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what? What do you mean? What does that mean? You're gonna whack me right now?" You know. And then they say, no. Tank is in charge. Tank is in charge of his own career. No, he's not. Or this guy, I keep forgetting his name here with the weird beard. Um, whoever is in charge of that, and I know you guys are saying, "Oh, but the PBC brings us all the good fights." No, the PBC doesn't bring you all the good fights. It's all these fighters that are making small deals with the PBC, like Canelo, Crawford. Those are the two biggest names in the PBC, and they're not PBC fighters. And the other one they have is Tank. Now Tank is a PBC fighter, but according to them, he's not even that either. Because from what I hear, he's not with Mayweather, or then they go, oh, he's with this guy. I forgot his name. Oh no, but he's not really calling the shots. It's Al Heyman. Al Heyman is calling the shots. So whatever's going on here, whatever fishy shit is going on here, that's what's wrong right now. Um, that will conclude the worst of the year. Um, and and in the next video, I'm going to talk about the best of the year. But that is going to be it for today, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you guys next time.